All week long, we've been digging into our archives for D.C.'s worst winter storms. On Monday, we brought you the President's Day storm in 1979, then the blizzards of 2016 and the blizzard of 1996. And who can forget Snowmageddon in 2010? For D.C.'s worst winter disaster, we set the time machine to the Knickerbocker storm of 1922. 28 inches of snow brought down the roof of the Knickerbocker Theater, killing 98 moviegoers. The images, at first glance from D.C., might look something like a Norman Rockwell painting. Children playing in the snow, a city just trying to cope with a storm, and the stories that would be retold for generations. Over the 3 days in late January, Mother Nature coated the city in blankets of snow. Pictures from outside the Knickerbocker Theater in 1922 conjure thoughts of a simpler time. But the carnage inside after the collapsed roof during a comedy film was compared to a scene from World War I. This spectacular theater had opened in 1917 at 18th Street and Columbia Road. It is now the Adams Morgan neighborhood. The theater seated 1,800 people. The walls were said to be fireproof, but it was the roof's shoddy construction that turned the laughs into screams that night. After the roof caved in, the balcony was next. It tumbled to the ground, killing even more people. Crews from Walter Reed Hospital rushed supplies to the theater. Neighborhood homes and even a candy store were turned into triages. Despite the incredible loss of life, 2 boys inside the theater made it out alive. According to a Washington Post article printed the day after the disaster, the children survived by hiding underneath their seats. The Knickerbocker was just 5 years old in 1922. So what caused the roof to buckle under the weight of the snow? Apparently, the contractor inserted the support beams only 2 inches into the walls. The architect, Reginald Geer, called for 8 inches. Geer was cleared of any charges, but he remained troubled and committed suicide the following year. A record 33 inches of snow was measured in northwest D.C.'s Rock Creek Park. The temps were in the low to mid-20s during the storm. January 1922 was not a particularly cold month, but as we discussed before, we don't need record cold to have big storms. Well, this was a true nor'easter that developed off the South Carolina coast. The storm then moved up to a great position off the Hatteras coast. I mean, that's just classic. And then from there, up the eastern seaboard. We had a high pressure to the north, a cold dome of high pressure pumping cold air all the way down well south of us, keeping us in all snow. After the disaster, the Knickerbocker was turned into a concert hall for a brief time. Jimi Hendrix even played a 5-night run at the hall. The site is now home to a bank, with the memories of the Knickerbockers stored deep in the vaults of D.C. history.